Welcome back to Winners and Losers, the show that usually looks at the highs and the lows of world football, but instead we're talking about the transfer window, aren't we? Because there's not an awful lot of football to be talked about. I'm joined by Dougie Critchley today because Chris Hamill is sunning himself in like Crete or Greece, so if you're in that region, keep your eyes out for a Timmy Mallet looking man. But Dougie, we may as well start with a talking point, and it's going to be Ronaldo today.
Yeah, it's got to be Ronaldo because things could be about to get even worse for Juventus. They obviously exited the Champions League at the last 16 stage on Friday night after beating Lyon, but Lyon going through on away goals. And now it appears that their main man, Cristiano Ronaldo, wants out of the club. According to some reports, it's Foot Mercato who are claiming that the Portuguese maestro wants to quit Juve after they're dumped out of the Champions League, obviously at the last 16 stage for the second year in a row. This comes just a week after they limped to the Serie A crown with their worst points total of the last 9 seasons. Though the 35-year-old had a very good campaign by all accounts. He was really the only bright spot of a pretty miserable campaign for them. He scored 37 times in 46 appearances and took more shots per game than anyone else in the Italian top division. And the club have failed sort of to rise to his example. I mean, I actually watched the Man City Real Madrid game, but from all accounts, from the highlights and what I read, it was really Ronaldo was the only one who produced anywhere close to his top form on Friday night. And apparently he's pretty fed up with their lack of progress in Europe, despite his best efforts in the competition. They are so reliant on him, it is a bit of a joke. He has scored every single one of their Champions League knockout goals since joining the club in July 2018, and all is clearly not right at Juventus. They obviously moved quickly to fire Maurizio Sarri the day after I said Juve wouldn't do that, and replace him with Andrea Pirlo, who of course has never managed in any level. Said that he didn't want to go into management in his autobiography, and also doesn't have his coaching badges. They were that desperate to get rid of Sarri. But Joe, do you actually see any truth in this matter?
Probably not, but it's not going to stop us talking about it, is it? Because it's definitely a big headline, and Juventus as a whole are a big headline. I think we'll probably go into more detail on Juventus later in the week. I know we're going to talk about them on the podcast, and if you're not subscribed to the podcast channel, go and do that right now, because I'm sure we'll be talking about the Champions League on extra time. But yeah, like you said, it's Foot Mercato who are claiming that his agent, Jorge Mendes, of course, well-publicised Jorge Mendes, is going to meet with PSG sporting director Leonardo this week and discuss the possibility of whether he could take Ronaldo to the Parc des Princes. Could we next season see a lineup of Mbappe, Neymar and Ronaldo going forward? I think probably not. Look, COVID has hit every club very, very hard, hasn't it? And they've already spent, 56, 57 million, I think it was in the end, on Mauro Icardi. And let's not forget, Ronaldo still has 2 years left to run on his deal in Turin. So I just don't think they're going to stump up the wages. He's on £26 million a year, which is an awful lot. And let's not forget, they paid £105 million for him a couple of years ago, so they won't let him go for cheap. And I think Agnelli has already come out, in fact, and said, look, this is, in fact, I've got his quotes in front of me. He says, an old media trick. I'm entirely convinced he will stay. So Juventus are very confident, but you can see potentially why Ronaldo might be thinking about an exit. You know, he was brought in to really take Juventus to the next level, to push them on to winning Champions League titles, and they're going backwards, really, in Europe right now. Like you said, Cristiano Ronaldo is scoring all their knockout stage goals. To exit at the round of 16 after a disappointing league campaign will have boiled Ronaldo's blood. He loves winning this competition, and if he thinks it's more likely he's going to win it with PSG, then I wouldn't totally write off a move. My issue is COVID is going to crunch the finances, and I can't see them spending £100-odd million on what is now, I think he's 35 Cristiano, yeah. Is he not? So I don't think this one's going to happen. But do you guys at home see Ronaldo playing for PSG next season, or do you think he'll stay and play under Pirlo? Let us know in the comments below.
Our winner this week, it's a bit of a surprise inclusion because we don't know a whole lot about this guy, but it is pretty exciting. It has to be Kostas Tsimikas, who's potentially moving to Liverpool, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, good pronunciation there, dude.
Thank
I'm sure I'm going to struggle much more than you did there. But yeah, this is a real shocker, isn't it? We know that Liverpool have been in the hunt for left-back cover for quite some time now, because Andy Robertson plays so many games that if he gets injured, they can't necessarily just rely on James Milner to fill in there, although they do have Joe Gomez, who can also sort of relieve that role a little bit. Now, last week we were talking about them potentially going in for Jamal Lewis, and they had a £10 million bid rejected by Norwich, didn't they? Norwich looking for more in the region of £20 million. Liverpool weren't willing to pay that money. And if you're Jamal Lewis, I think you'd be pretty disappointed this week, to be totally honest, to still be a Norwich player and not be playing for Liverpool. There was also chat about Sergi Reguilon, who of course Real Madrid are looking to offload this summer. Chelsea seem to be quite interested, as do a number of Italian clubs. But the £18 million fee as well there seems to have put Liverpool off to a certain level, and instead they've turned their attention to 24-year-old Tsimikas, who I've never heard of. I'm not going to lie, didn't have a clue who he was when he popped up on Sky Sports News the other day, but yeah, he's the Olympiacos left back. He's only got 3 caps for Greece. I mean, can you tell us any more about him, Dukes? Is he going to be a standout starting left back, or is he just pure cover? I'm guessing the latter.
I think pure latter, but yeah, I have to own up like you. I've never really heard of this guy before this weekend. We've done a bit of digging so we can provide a bit of colour. He's made 84 appearances for Olympiacos since his debut back in 2015. He was contracted there until 2023, and he's been a regular in their starting lineup for 18 months. He was part of the squad, obviously, that knocked Arsenal out of the Europa League earlier this year, and Liverpool sent scouts to watch him play against Wolves last week as well. He also featured in all 6 of their Champions League games prior to their exit, as they finished behind Bayern and Spurs in their group. They actually surprised me with how good they were in those games. And he picked up 1 assist. He played very well, 1.7 key passes and 2.3 dribbles per match, which is really impressive when you're playing against that calibre of opposition. So it suggests that he does have potential to play at a higher level. Defensively in the Champions League this season, he's averaged 4.8 tackles and interceptions per match, whilst in the Europa League, against Premier League opposition in Arsenal and Wolves, he made an astonishing 6.8 tackles and interceptions a match. So seemingly a bit of a defensive behemoth, and these numbers are really impressive. Obviously, we can't wait to see him in action for Liverpool to get a better idea of him. So any Greek football fans, give us your lowdown on Tsimikas. But if this move is completed, he won't be the only ex-Olympiacos left-back playing in the Premier League. West Ham, of course, signed his former teammate Arta Masuaku from the Greeks back in 2016. But Greek fans, as I said, we want to hear from you. What's he like? Can he make an impact? Can he displace Andy Robertson? And crucially, will he be happy with a backup role? Because that's always the issue. I think Sergi Reguilon would have been my pick to replace or Robertson or rival Robertson, but I don't think he wanted to be an out-and-out backup. And supposedly Leicester City are pretty disappointed as well, I read this morning, because they were eyeing him up as a potential replacement for Chilwell. So Greek football fans, let us know about Tsimikas in the comments down below, and let's move on to our loser.
Moving on to our loser then. I think this one's a little bit harsh, personally. I actually think this would be an okay move, but we've put it in the losers anyway because we needed to find one. It's John Stones to Chelsea, Dukes.
Yeah, it does feel a little bit harsh. I've been touting John Stones for a move to another Premier League club for the last couple of weeks. I think we all have on Football Daily, but it does seem a little bit harsh. But anyway, you know, Chelsea's season has now finished. It ended on a very sad note. They obviously lost to Arsenal in the FA Cup final, and pretty embarrassingly to Bayern Munich in the Champions League. Obviously, better sides than Chelsea have lost to Bayern Munich quite emphatically this year, but the manner of it, the sort of goals they conceded, we were both doing a bit of an FD reunion at that stage, so I was a bit pissed, so I didn't really take it in on the night, but the highlights suggested Chelsea were all over the place as usual at the back. And he's now looking to arrest that with the signing of John Stones. He's supposedly interested in bringing in his former England teammate, but he isn't the only one interested. Apparently David Moyes wants to bring him to West Ham. No surprise there, West Ham again being linked with anyone. And the 26-year-old England international clearly needs a change of scene. He's fallen way down the pecking order at Man City, especially with the citizens revealing their latest signing, former Blue Nathan Ake. And it's believed that Guardiola has completely lost faith in Stones and is prepared to cut his losses on the player who joined from Everton 4 years ago for £47 million. The former Barnsley man obviously hasn't had the best of times of it this season. His actually underlying numbers are pretty solid, but his confidence has really taken a big knock, and it's no surprise when he's fallen to sort of fourth in the pecking order behind the likes of Eric Garcia and Fernandinho. He's also missed 12 games with injury as well, which hasn't helped him build up much rhythm. The 26-year-old, I think, is still a very good defender, and clearly at the level where he'll improve Chelsea's defence, at least over Andreas Christensen, who needs to be moved on as far away from Stamford Bridge as soon as possible, ideally. But Joe, I mean, John Stones, he won't just solve Chelsea's defensive issues alone, because there are a lot.
Oh yeah, there's a ton of issues at the back, and I think the trouble for Frank Lampard is that the centre-back market, as we've talked about in a number of shows this summer, is particularly weak. It's really hard to find good value centre-halves that can actually improve your team, and I think John Stones would, but it would be very marginal, wouldn't it? I don't think it's the step up which Frank Lampard is looking for on some of those defenders who have had a really poor season. You know, they've conceded 79 goals in all competitions. That's the worst in 30 years for Chelsea. 54 of them have come in the league. That's the worst since 1996. So yeah, obviously they've been shambolic at the back, and people will continuously blame Kepa because he is one of the worst goalkeepers in the league and he's having an absolutely honking season. But the centre-backs haven't covered themselves in glory either. I think Frank has struggled to find a consistent starting pair, really. It's been, Tomori one week, then Zuma, then Christensen, then Rudiger's come in, and he really needs to find that one centre-back that's going to start 45 games a season and it's just going to be a rock at the back. And is that John Stones? I'm not too sure it is, personally. I think it wouldn't be enough of a step up for Chelsea, but nevertheless, I don't think it'd be the worst sign if you could get him for the right fee. I do think that City would be stupid to sell John Stones at the moment. We saw the problems that they faced last season when they didn't replace Company. Eric Garcia is leaving the club either this summer or next. Pep Guardiola has already come out and confirmed that he will be leaving and not signing a new contract. Looks like he's going to go to Barcelona. So I don't really see the positive in starting Eric Garcia. He's not the finished product, Garcia. He's a work in progress. And why are you going to be the club that creates a better product for Barcelona, if you know what I mean? So I think that would be an odd one, to be totally honest. Just got in front of me here that Frank Lampard has used a total of 24 different combinations at the back this season. Blimey. 24.
That's mental.
Talking about that lack of consistency, that is just not good enough. And look, Stones is 26, so I don't think he's going to improve an awful lot. And he does have that continuous error leading to goal statistic that sort of follows him everywhere. I think it's 7 errors leading to goals, one every sort of 2,000 odd minutes, which is the joint most in the Premier League. But he is good with the ball at his feet, and maybe that's something Chelsea need, a passer out from the back, because Frank likes to build up slowly, doesn't he? So fingers crossed they can find a strong, solid 30 to 40 game centre back who can pass out from the back. Is it John Stones? I'm not too sure, because I don't think the sort of reported fees of 20 to 25 million pounds are going to be enough to tempt Manchester City. They don't need that money. So why improve a direct rival in Chelsea by selling him for 20 to 25 million pounds? I'd be super surprised if that was to happen. But Chelsea fans, what do you make of this move? Would you be happy seeing John Stones come into the club? You were linked with him when he left Everton in the first place. Let us know in the comments below. Alright, so that's it for today's episode of Transfer Winners and Losers. Dougie, what do you want to plug? Anything to plug?
Go over to EFD. We dropped a very good scout report this morning or early this afternoon about Borussia Dortmund, so go check that out and go check out Saturday's football pyramid between Henry Hill and Michael McCubbin.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And as I said during the episode, make sure you subscribe to the podcast channel. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you later.